Prince William's heartfelt promise, "Even in another life, I'd marry Kate." Even the most familiar love stories begin somewhere ordinary. A young prince, a university campus, a friendship that didn't look like destiny. But here's the part that stops people cold. Prince William once made a promise so profound, it echoed beyond this lifetime. And no, it wasn't spoken for cameras or crowns. It was whispered in certainty. "Even in another life, I would still marry Kate." That promise did not begin with a ring. It began with restraint, with hesitation, with a young man raised to believe duty comes before desire, learning what it costs to love freely when the world is always watching. William did not fall fast. He fell carefully, and that alone tells you everything. At St. Andrews, Kate Middleton was not trying to be noticed. She wasn't chasing royalty. She wasn't performing for attention. She was simply present, calm, grounded, observant. While others leaned toward William because of who he would become, Kate treated him like who he already was. A young man carrying expectations too heavy for his age. And that difference mattered more than anyone realized at the time. What drew William in was not glamour. It was safety. With Kate, there was no performance. No script. No palace mask. He could be quiet. He could be unsure. He could laugh without thinking about headlines. And yet, that comfort terrified him. Because loving Kate meant imagining a future that could either save him or cost him everything. William had seen this story before. He had lived its consequences as a child. His parents' marriage was not just a royal failure. It was a public unraveling. Love distorted by pressure. Affection eroded by scrutiny. Private pain turned into global spectacle. William learned early that loving the wrong way inside the monarchy doesn't just break hearts. It breaks generations. So when he realized he loved Kate, he didn't rush forward. He pulled back. And that pause nearly cost him everything. The breakup that shocked the public was not a lack of love. It was fear trying to sound like logic. William needed to know if Kate could survive the life waiting for her. And Kate needed to know if William could choose her without regret. That separation was brutal, quiet, personal, no statements, no explanations, just two people learning who they were without each other. Kate walked through that chapter with dignity that did not go unnoticed. She didn't chase him. She didn't leak stories. She lived. And in doing so, she answered the question William had been too afraid to ask. She was strong enough. And more importantly, she was herself without him. That realization changed everything. When William returned, it wasn't with hesitation. It was with certainty. This time, he wasn't asking if he should choose Kate. He was asking if he could ever choose anyone else. And the answer was no. The proposal was simple, intimate, grounded in meaning rather than spectacle. Africa, a place tied to memory. A place William associated with emotional clarity. He carried his mother's ring not as nostalgia, but as continuity. A way of saying the past did not have to repeat itself. This would be different. Marriage did not soften the pressure. It intensified it. But what changed was how William carried it. Kate became his anchor, not by stepping in front of him, but by standing beside him. She learned the rhythms of royal life without losing her center. She absorbed criticism without bitterness. She protected their children fiercely, understanding that privacy is not a luxury. It is survival. And William noticed everything. Behind palace doors, the affection was never performative. It was practical. A hand placed quietly on the back. A look exchanged across a room. Small signals that say, "I see you. I'm still here." Those gestures are not rehearsed. They are lived. When crises came, and they did, William did not retreat. He leaned in. Because somewhere along the way, Kate stopped being just the woman he loved. She became the place where he could breathe. Parenthood changed him further. Watching Kate with their children awakened something ancient and grounding in William. Not the future king. Not the heir. Just a father watching the woman he loves build a sense of normalcy inside a very abnormal world. It was in those quiet moments that the promise took shape. Not the poetic kind spoken in public, but the unshakable kind formed internally. That if time rewound, if titles disappeared, if history reset itself, he would still find her. Because the love he chose was not circumstantial. It was essential. William does not speak recklessly. Every word he allows into the public sphere is measured. So when he speaks about Kate with permanence, it carries weight. This is not a fairy tale declaration. It is a man acknowledging that some connections are not products of timing or status. They are recognitions. And recognitions don't fade. In moments of strain, when criticism sharpens, when silence becomes louder than praise, William's loyalty does not waver. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. That distinction matters. Royal marriages survive on optics. Real marriages survive on choice. William chooses Kate daily, not in grand gestures, but in alignment, in trust, in the quiet knowledge that the life he carries would be unbearable without the woman who understands it without explanation. There are lives where people wonder what could have been. William does not, because he knows, if the world reset, if fate offered a blank slate, if love asked the question again, his answer would not change. Even in another life, I would still marry Kate. And perhaps that is the truest kind of royalty. Not crowns, not ceremony, but devotion that outlives circumstance. A love chosen freely, protected fiercely, and promised beyond time.